Welcome back to the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thank you for making us a part of your Saturday morning. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. As always, we got Sean behind the glass, and what a Thursday it was for us. The three of us.
Yeah, man.
At the Days of 47 parade.
Oh, it was awesome to be out there. It was awesome to get to see everybody's smiling faces bright and early on Saturday morning. Or on Thursday morning, and then, be a part of the Days of 47 parade, man. It was a really cool experience. It was fun to be out there with you, Christian.
Yeah, you and I were walking, and then Sean was in the zone tent.
Yeah.
With Alex Curie, who did a phenomenal job announcing. I had a lot of fun.
I had a great time too, man. The only downfall and the only knock that I have on the parade is that after I went over to go dap up Sean and Alex in their little booth thing, stepped in horse crap.
Oh no.
stepped right in it. And then Christian kept making comments. He was like, "Oh dude, it stinks. And I was like, I should probably check my shoes. And sure enough, I was the culprit.
They had a guy, there were lots of horses, obviously. There were a couple guys riding around in golf carts, and they had these huge metal shovels just running around.
Yeah.
Literally shoveling.
That was their job.
I would not want to be that guy.
Their job was literally to drive. Yeah, poop scooper, exactly. Their job was literally driving around in the golf cart and going around and picking up poop.
Not doing a great job, obviously.
No, they did a great job. It's hard to get it all. Yeah, great time. Had a lot of fun seeing everybody. There were a lot of people.
There was.
Got to interact with a few listeners, and that was always fun. Talked to some people that said, "Oh yeah, we listen to you guys all day, every day." So that's always great to meet listeners out in the wild. Because sometimes it's easy to forget, it's just you, me, Sean behind the glass. It's like sometimes you forget that people actually listen. So yeah, that's always great. And
it's like, we're on air.
Yeah, I had a great time representing the station and KSL as a whole. So that was great.
Stone's listening. He just texted me.
There you go.
Yeah, see? People listen.
Awesome. Was that the highlight of your week? I think that was easily mine.
Yeah. I mean, aside from it being a very slow sports week, that's probably the highlight of my week, just because literally nothing else is going on, Christian.
No, it was a horrible week. Yeah. It's like the worst week in sports because it's not quite training camp for college football. There was like Big Ten media days, but we don't really care about that here.
I just love watching the SEC and the Big Ten just go at each other.
Yeah.
Because SEC Media Days was last week, and so the SEC and everybody's...
They're like throwing shade at each other.
Taking shots at the Big Ten, and then
Subtle
this week,
comments.
The Big Ten has their chance to respond, and James Franklin went scorched earth on the SEC and Notre Dame, so now it's like everybody's just taking shots at everybody.
It's like high school all over again.
I love it.
And like Summer League was over, so we had news that Kyle Filipowski won MVP, so that was great. But other than that, there's like no basketball. So yeah, really slow week. But as I told you before the show, like it's time for college football, even though training camp is not quite here. So we'll do that. We'll jump right in. Let's talk some BYU. Last week we spent a lot of time talking about Utah because a lot of these betting websites had Utah as the favorites to win the Big 12. So you and I discussed that in length last week. If you missed it, you can go find it wherever you get your podcasts. Just search The Saturday Show, or you can go to kslsports.com, click on the podcast tab there, and find it that way. But we did do that last week, and we left BYU out. That's because today we're going to talk BYU. So people aren't picking BYU to win the Big 12. So the angle that we're going to take today is kind of like, what exactly is their ceiling after winning 11 games last year, making the Alamo Bowl, really being a fringe college football playoff team, and they are returning so much of what made them great, including all of their assistant coaches. They did lose a couple of players, right? But they're returning a solid 85% of their starting lineup. But, of course, the big question mark there is the quarterback. And how much does that matter with this BYU roster? And I guess we can start right there with the quarterback. And no matter who it's going to be week one, I mean, how beneficial is it, I guess, that they're stepping into this roster as opposed to maybe what Jake Retzlaff came into last year, where it was a pretty much unknown.
Right. To your point, I think it helps a lot that you're getting a very, very solid amount of your key starters and key contributors from last year back. You know, LJ Martin is back for another season, despite him being banged up last season. Right? Can he take another further step this year with him returning? Chase Roberts was the will he, won't he come back? Right? There was talks about him potentially entering the draft, but he is back. And so that's obviously a huge, huge help to whoever's going to be under center this season for the BYU Cougars. You have various key starters returning all over the place for BYU. And you've picked up a lot of good transfers on your offensive and defensive line. And I think, obviously, success starts in the trenches for college football teams. And so bolstering up your offensive and your defensive line, I think that'll be massive helps to BYU.
Yeah, and I think that was honestly the biggest reason for their success last year. I guess maybe I'll say the biggest surprise reason for their success was how well the offensive line played. Coach Woods did a phenomenal job of getting that starting five, getting the best out of them. And even as they dealt with injuries, I mean, they lost starting center Connor Pay, who was an incredible leader and obviously played really well. They missed him for a big chunk of time, and even when he went out, they were able to keep it going offensively. So
exactly.
I love that phrase. I love the concept of building your football team from the trenches outwards, and I think BYU has done a great job on the offensive and defensive side. And then defensively, of course, you got to talk about Tanavasa, right? I know everybody's stoked for him to come in, and then with the offensive line, that makes it easy on no matter who's going to be starting, whether it's Bourget or Hillstead or Bachmeier, they're inexperienced.
Right.
So you want an offensive line that's going to keep them upright. And you want weapons in Chase Roberts and LJ Martin and Parker Kingston and JoJo Phillips and whoever else that know the playbook well. And, of course, there's a lot of minute things that you need to figure out. That's what training camp is for, and that's what we're going to see over the next few weeks.
The good thing for BYU is you lose Keelan Marion, right, and through the transfer portal. He was expected to potentially take a big step this season. But the good thing for BYU is that they have depth. Parker Kingston, JoJo Phillips, your time is up. Can they step up and answer that bell?
I'm excited to see it. I want to hear, going back to media days a couple weeks ago, Kalani Sitake talked about the quarterback battle and about training camp and how training camp is basically going to look while you're trying to find a quarterback between three different guys.
I think it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, last year we were going through the same thing and trying to figure out who our quarterback was going to be with Gary Bohannon and Jake Retzlaff.
That's right.
So we've been through quarterback battles before as a staff. A-Rod's done this before. I think the key is allowing McKay Hillstead to play and be himself and utilize his skill set, and then Trayson Bourget to do the same thing, and then Bear Bachmeier do the same thing, and then Emerson. We have four quarterbacks that can spin it. So the goal is allow them to feel confident. That's the prerequisite that we have, is that you play quarterback, you should be able to throw the ball accurately. They can all do that stuff. Now the question is, who do we sink the reps into, and how do we create an environment where they can compete and actually earn the spot? And so as we go through that, I wish we could have done that earlier, but now that it's been on us, we have to do that in camp. When we figure that out, I'll let you know, but we have until the first game to get that done. Even throughout the whole process that we've done this before, we've had a situation where we played a true freshman before. So the key is having the staff all together. Other people are going to have to step up, but I think a lot of people will rally around this.
So I think there's some nice tidbits in there. Obviously, comparing it to last year's situation is a little different because last year you had Retzlaff coming back who had started 4 games previously, right?
Yes.
Versus Gary Bohannon, who was a senior transfer coming in, who had done some really good things early on in his career and then struggled with injuries. So he was an unknown. Versus this year, I know Kalani Sitake mentioned Emerson. No disrespect, but I don't know how much he's going to factor into this decision. I really think it's a 3-player race between Hillstead, Bourget, and Bachmeier, right? Those are 3 relatively inexperienced guys. I mean, Hillstead has played before at Utah State. He started a couple of games. Bachmeier is a true freshman who played spring ball at another school, and he's coming in, so he's really new to the system. And then Bourget, he's played a little bit as well, but again, not to this level at BYU. So this year's quarterback battle, not only is it 3 players versus 2, you don't really have anybody that's played. You don't have anybody that's played for BYU.
Right.
And you don't have anybody that's played a ton.
It's a very inexperienced room.
Yeah.
Despite 2 of the guys having played college ball already, it is very inexperienced. Because we saw McKay Hillstead play a couple games with Just A, had to go down with went down with injury, and was replaced before transferring to BYU, and then Bear Bachmeier, or not Bear Bachmeier, Bourget had a couple games at Western Michigan, and then ended up at BYU too, and then you have Bear Bachmeier, who is the true freshman. So there's some inexperience in this quarterback room. Obviously, I think it would have helped a lot knowing and having a guy like Hillstead, a guy like Bourget, and a guy like Bachmeier take those first team reps during spring ball. But during spring ball, you didn't know that this was going to happen. You didn't have this situation with Jake Retzlaff leaving.
So Jake, basically what you're saying, spring ball, Jake Retzlaff took all of the starting snaps.
Right. And so now you're entering into fall camp, which is less than ideal to figure out, okay, who's going to be our starting quarterback? And that can really impact the success BYU has this season.
Yeah. Another thing I want to take away, do we read into it at all that McKay Hillstead was the first name that Kalani Sitake mentioned?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I'm going to a little bit.
Oh.
Just because, I mean, from what we've seen, I think McKay Hillstead has shown the most in the limited snaps that he has taken. Maybe some Utah State bias is playing into there, maybe not. But also, I mean, you ask like Hans Olsen and a lot of other guys that are really plugged into BYU. It does sound like Hillstead is the initial leader. Some people have even said that it's kind of his job to lose, right?
Yeah.
But it's far from a guarantee at this point. We've got a month of camp to go. A lot of snaps are going to be taken. A lot of mistakes are going to be made by all 3 of these players. So, you know, who separates themselves from the pack, I don't know. But I do wonder if Hillstead is going to be the one that gets the first, I guess, crack at it.
How likely, Christian, is it that we see at some point all of them play?
I will say BYU, I mean, okay, I'll preface this. I haven't talked to anybody, so I don't want to speak for them. I would assume that they do not want to see that.
I don't want to see that either.
Right, and I don't want to see that. With this roster, with everything that they're bringing back, with everything that they aspire to achieve this season, I think they want to find their guy and hope that they're getting at least average to above average quarterback play. They don't need him to come in and be, you know, a Heisman candidate. They can win plenty of games with just average quarterback play. I think that could really set themselves up for probably playing for the Big 12 championship if they just get average quarterback play. And that's really all they need. Hopefully it doesn't take trying out 3 different dudes to find that. Because at that point, you're in a mess.
Yes. I think that would be worst case scenario for BYU. Best case scenario is naming your day 1 starter, your week 1 starter, and finding success in your week 1 starter throughout the course of the season.
Yeah.
And that means winning football games and staying healthy.
Staying healthy is going to be tough, and even that plays into what you asked about how many of these guys are we going to see. And, you know, there is a chance that somebody gets banged up and we see the second or even, heaven forbid, the 3rd string quarterback come in. Like, we've seen it before.
Yep.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. But looking at their schedule, I think they have a they have a good schedule set up for this situation, right? They open the season August 30th at home versus Portland State. And then the next week they're at home versus Stanford. 2 home games in a row. The first one, you know, an FCS school. That's what you want. That's what you want when you're trying to figure this out.
You welcome Portland State into your stadium. It's a game that you should be winning, right?
And then you have a bye after Stanford.
And then you get a bye after Stanford. I think Stanford will be a little bit of a test as they try to navigate their quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But you do get that bye week before traveling to East Carolina. And, while I'm not necessarily a fan of the early bye week, I think having a bye week 3 of the football season is a little bit weird. But it allows BYU to a little bit more time to really figure out this quarterback situation.
To take a step back and, assess
right
how whoever has played is playing, assess what things are looking like, make changes. It'll give a chance for A-Rod, Coach Aaron Roderick, the offensive coordinator, to make whatever changes he needs to make to help this offense chug along.
And then luckily, too, for BYU, your Big 12 play starts off with difficult games, but games that I think that they can still allow themselves to test out their quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? You start on the road at Colorado. Then you come back home, you play West Virginia. Then you go on the road to Arizona before you get an incredibly difficult stretch. And I think by that incredibly difficult stretch, you should know who QB1 is, and hopefully you have QB1 producing.
The incredibly difficult stretch you're mentioning is at home versus Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, and then at TCU before wrapping up the season at they're at home versus TCU. Then you wrap up the season at Cincinnati and then at home versus UCF. So, yeah, the brutal stretch in the middle there, especially that Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech stretch. Those are our thoughts on the schedule. Kalani Sitake also talked about this during Media Day. I want to hear what he has to say on how this schedule breaks as far as a quarterback.
I can't think like that. I have to think, can we play our best 12 times? And can we do it for 60 minutes consistently in 12 games? If I can get our team to do that, then we can earn extra time. So I don't know if I did a good enough job of that last year. I think we had some really cool wins and things like that, but my job as a head coach, at the end of the year, I was like, man, we should have played this better in these games, and we should have put some games away. But you just can't say that. You have to work on it. So since December to now, we've had a deliberate movement to try to get better there.
Interesting answer. I get what he's saying. Looking at last year, right, some of the games that he probably felt like they didn't play their best at, Kansas especially, losing 17-13. Even the Arizona State loss, 28-23. Yep. On top of that, they had, I think, 6 one-score games, 4 wins, 2 losses. And that's always tough. The one-score games are basically a coin flip. And especially when you look at year to year, you talk about regressing to the mean, and that is something that typically happens as far as you get one year where a team loses a lot of one-score games. The next year they're going to win a lot of one-score games, and then it averages out to 50-50. Or the opposite, a team wins a lot of one-score games, and then the next year can't put it away, and that averages out to 50-50. So Coach Sitake sounds like he is more just focused on getting the dub every week, which is, yeah, that's your job. I get it. But, as a head coach, I feel like you do have to look at this schedule a little bit and wonder how you can take that schedule to your advantage and really find out who's best for your team at the quarterback position.
Exactly. And, while he might not say it, I'm sure that the staff has already looked at that week 3 bye in this non-conference schedule and said, look, we got a really good chance to go into this non-conference schedule and figure out what we're going to do at quarterback and make sure that we're making the right decision at quarterback and have the guy in there that's going to win us the most games.
Yeah.
It's BYU set up for success in that thanks to the way the schedule is played out.
So we started this segment with the question, I guess, of what could their ceiling be? Have you given any thought to that as far as, could they contend for the Big 12? Have you thought about like a final record prediction or anything along those lines? Do you have anything in your head?
I think their ceiling is still pretty high due to the fact that they are returning a lot of key contributors and a lot of key talent. I still think that this BYU team, despite losing Retzlaff, despite losing their quarterback, they're still in a position to contend for this conference. Ceiling, I'm probably thinking 2 or 3 losses.
I'm in agreement there. I think looking at the schedule, okay, we'll break it up into segments and go like this. Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, I think it's a very high chance that you win all 3 of those games. Again, and we're assuming average level quarterback play. So Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, really good odds you're coming away 3-0. Right?
Having Stanford at home really helps. And then BYU's record against East Carolina isn't the greatest, but I still think they've got more than East Carolina this season.
I never care about what a pass record says. It's all about these 2 teams right now this season.
I think you got a really, really good shot at going 3-0.
Okay. Colorado, West Virginia, Arizona. At worst, I think, worst case scenario, you're getting 3 losses. But realistically, I think worst case scenario, you're losing maybe one of those.
I could agree.
I'll give BYU the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe the Wildcats surprise BYU on the road. Right?
Could happen.
They go down to Tucson. Arizona is not a fun game to play. And Arizona and Tucson, the last couple of years, has been able to surprise Utah down there at their stadium. And so maybe BYU goes down there and gets surprised by Arizona. I don't know. But I do think that you have a good shot of winning all 3 of these games, but there could be a loss in there for BYU.
So at this point, you're 6 games in, you're looking at maybe 1 loss.
Yeah.
Ideally, right? Then you get to the brutal stretch at home against Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech. You're hoping to win one of those games.
I think a lot of it comes down on how you do against your rival.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard to sit here and talk about it right now without really knowing anything. Maybe at this point in the season, they're 6 games in and whoever's playing quarterback is just rolling and we feel really good.
Exactly.
And maybe Iowa State just falls on their face or Texas Tech or Utah just completely look not even close to what we thought. So, but looking at it right now, I think, should we tack on, let's just say maybe another loss there, or would you want to do 2?
I think
of these 3 teams.
I think out of these, in this stretch of games, it is quite possible you got 2 losses in there.
Okay, so we'll say maybe 3 losses at this point in the season. Then you're at home against TCU, at Cincinnati, at home against UCF to wrap up the season, and that's it.
TCU is a tough game, but you do have it at home, and playing BYU in Provo is never an easy task. I think you can end up with a solid 3-0 stretch here to end the season.
So based off of that little exercise we just did, nice and easy, we're looking at, I'd say realistically, 2 to 4 losses on the year.
Yeah.
And that's, again, with assuming average quarterback play.
Right.
I feel like that's very fair.
Their ceiling is still contenders.
That's contention for the Big 12.
They're still contenders for me. Even if you get...
It's going to be close.
You just need a guy in there who's going to sling it. Like Kalani said, the prerequisite to even being in consideration for this job is just a guy who can sling it. And if you got a guy in there who can sling it accurately, you're going to put yourself in a position to win some games.
And real quick, going back to the 1-score games conversation, and I'm not here to bag on a player just because he's not here anymore, but looking at what Jake Retzlaff did last year, a lot of those wins came on kind of miracle plays. And you got to give credit where it's due to Jake Retzlaff and Darius Lassiter and this offense for making the plays when they needed them, right? But it's not like BYU's offense came in and was just an absolute juggernaut and they're losing one of the top quarterbacks in the country.
Right.
Again, you're hoping for average quarterback play. Somebody who comes in and does not turn the ball over.
At halftime, right before you go into the break.
Right.
Like against Kansas.
Right, exactly. So it's not like these shoes are impossible to fill.
Right.
And again, I don't want to overshadow what Jake Retzlaff did because, I mean, especially thinking about that Utah game, that drive, he did everything right. That final drive, starting from, where did they even start? Like the 5 or the 10 or the 7 or something? They had like 90 yards to go.
Yeah, they were deep in their own territory.
And he hit every single pass in stride.
Right.
He protected the ball. He didn't really he didn't make bad decisions. And at the end of the day, he got the ball in the hands of his playmakers to go out there and score and win the game. And I think that's coaching, right? That's something that Aaron Roderick can teach whoever's playing quarterback. I don't think that is an insurmountable task for Hillstead or for Bourget or for Bachmeier. Now, when you get to the whole inexperience thing, that's when you can start to worry a little bit. And how much does the lack of experience play into things as far as making the right decision and things like that? But I trust in this staff, and I think it can't be understated that the offensive staff, that really the staff overall, is returning like all of their assistant coaches.
Right.
And that is huge to have everybody on the same page. And then you get into the majority of the roster is coming back anyways. And it's like, yeah, these guys know what's going to be asked of them. And it's a team effort for everybody to kind of rise up and elevate the play as a whole and help out whoever it is at the quarterback position.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they were so successful last season and why they had an 11-win season last year.
And that's why they brought all the assistant coaches back, is because
100%.
they recognize how big of a role that played.
Absolutely. Like, even without, you look at the Big 12, and I think every team in the Big 12, you know who their quarterback is, and you know what kind of play you're going to get out of their quarterback. Even with the question marks and the unknowns at BYU's quarterback position, this team is still in a really, really good position to have success. And I think that should excite BYU fans, despite losing your QB1.
Yeah, and if you can come in and go 10-2 with this situation, I mean, it's one thing last year to barely be thought about as bowl eligible, and now people count you out for a whole different reason.
Right.
And that would be the sweetest thing for Cougars fans, like to come in and kind of just be like, yeah, you counted us out and that's your fault.
Don't do it twice.
Yeah, don't do it twice.
We'll let you get away with it once, but doing it twice, shame on you.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up next on the other side, let's continue talking college football. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. Thank you for making us part of your Saturday morning. You got big plans today?
No, not really. My siblings are out of town. They're in Chicago.
Oh, fun.
They went to Chicago for the weekend, and so it's just me and my parents hanging out this weekend. So we're probably just gonna eat and watch TV.
There you go.
I don't think we're gonna do anything crazy.
It's nice to have a low-key Saturday.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
Let's continue our college football talk. Last segment, we talked a lot of BYU and how we think they're going to fare this season in the Big 12. I guess to summarize, I'm really expecting between 2 and 4 losses. I'd be shocked if they had any more than 4 losses or less than 2. I think that's a good spot to be in. I think that is still going to be in contention for the Big 12.
Yes.
So that was a fun conversation, and we'll have that posted soon. But now let's continue talking about the Big 12. They were in the news this week a little bit because Memphis literally tried to buy their way into the Big 12. The initial reports were a $200 million offer. Now it's kind of come out that was up to $250 million offer to join the Big 12. And this would come with other things like Memphis would not even be paid for the first 5 years and things like that.
Right.
And the Big 12 rejected it for the third time in a decade. They rejected Memphis.
I think I would have, I thought it would. I think it would have been cool to see Memphis a part of the Big 12. I'm also surprised, I guess, maybe, that the Big 12 turned down $250 million.
Yes, I think that tells you that there were maybe that number was not the whole story, I guess.
Right.
I think that I like that the Big 12 is like, you know what? We already have 16 teams. We don't need another one. It's already a mess. what does Memphis really bring to the table? Obviously, in this offer, they bring a lot of money, a lot of cash, and that's what drives everything. So that's good. But outside of that, like adding Memphis, they'd automatically be one of the worst programs in the conference, football-wise, which is what matters the most. I wouldn't see them anywhere close to contending. They'd, talking about 16 teams, they'd probably be in the bottom 5 or 6 at least. Memphis is not a...
Basketball-wise, it'd be better.
Yeah, basketball-wise, they're okay, but even then, it's not like they're hurting for basketball teams.
Right.
Memphis is not a superb recruiting area that people are dying to get into. So I am curious as to why the Big 12 rejected that offer, but I kind of have respect that they did.
It's not, the most lucrative market when you think of Memphis, but $250 million that you would get for the rest of your member conferences, and then I'm sure that one of the reasons why they had to shut Memphis down was due to the fact that that's just another school that you have to share all that revenue money with.
And that's I think the big thing. And again, they said initially like they would take a lower cut of revenue sharing and distribution and things like that. But when you look,
that's initially. When
you look at, it's already diluted between 16 teams. I think it was a unanimous decision by all of the presidents to reject Memphis. I think everybody said no. So I think, that's what it boils down to is like, BYU and Utah and Arizona State and all of their leaders are like, if another school joins, then that's less money that we get. They take from everybody's pot. So I get that. I think the bigger story here, though, I want to kind of switch angles and kind of talk about Memphis. And they realize it's kind of a big deal to get into a Power 4 conference right now. And it's...
Yes.
The way that I took this is they realized that probably the end of the decade is what everybody's projecting. We're going to see more conference realignment / expansion. We don't know what it's going to look like. There's rumors that it might just be 2 super leagues. Who knows? But it reads to me like Memphis is desperately trying to get a seat at the table now before that happens. So when it does happen, they're not on the outside looking in.
100%. That's exactly what that means to me too, right? It's trying to get to the Power 4 level because the group of 5 right now, it's in a weird spot. You have the automatic qualifier in the college football playoff, but then there's going to be the expansion of the college football playoff, right? You're still going to get the one qualifier, and it's going to be interesting to see, right, where kind of group of 5 lands. After all this, will Boise State continue to be kind of the school and the team that lifts up group of 5 and keeps them relevant, or are they slowly going to dwindle out? And where does the Pac-12 kind of land in all this too, right? Where the Pac-12 is coming back next season, right? They're talking about Boise State, and so Memphis wants their seat at the table, and it opens up an interesting conversation too of, can these group of 5 schools try to buy their way to the Power 4?
We saw something kind of similar last year a little bit with Sac State trying to buy their way into the FBS level.
Right.
But, buying your way into into a P4 conference, like it's not, I don't scoff at the idea, right? Like if you realize and if you truly think that that's what you have to do to keep your athletic program relevant, I mean, that's really all you can do. So it's like, I don't really judge it either way as far as that's a good decision or bad decision. I honestly respect Memphis for, again, trying to get out ahead of it because I think that this is going to be an absolute mess in 5 years. I think it could be really damaging to some of these schools and programs. And so, it's a desperate move for Memphis, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, again, I look at it as kind of like really interesting, I guess. Like seeing all these other schools that joined the Pac-12, and there were rumors kind of connecting them to the Pac-12, but that ultimately didn't end up happening. And so they're like, okay, we'll try to get into the Big 12 and save ourselves there. But, I'm not surprised that the Big 12 rejected it. I'm not surprised that Memphis is trying to get in. And now I'm sure that they're going to try with another conference. Maybe they try with the ACC. Who knows?
Right.
But it's kind of a foreboding warning, I guess, of like, things are going to get really crazy.
Yes. We're not done with realignment. We're not done with the Super League talks, right? Especially, well, and, with the SEC and the Big Ten going at each other, and they kind of hold the key to the future of college football.
Yeah.
And
of collegiate athletics as a whole.
Right. And so I understand why Memphis has this proposal to try to get their seat at the table before it's too late and they get left behind with the remainder of the group of 5.
Yeah.
I really hope the group of 5, I mean, they obviously don't bring in the most popularity and they don't bring in the most money, and that's fine, but you need the group of 5 in college football. You need to have you need to have the smaller teams that allow, especially now in the transfer portal, in the era of everybody kind of going places and everything, have a little bit of development.
Who needs that? The fans, or you think college football as a whole?
College football as a whole.
Okay. So if you're talking about a super league, even right now, the way that things are set up, I think Boise State last year was an anomaly. I don't think that G5 teams are really going to ever contend with the top of the cream of the crop from P4 schools. I think ultimately, I don't know what the structure of the quote-unquote Super League is going to look like. But right now we have 2 divisions in college football, right? We have FBS and FCS. I wouldn't be surprised if someday down the road, in the not-so-distant future, you're looking at maybe 3 divisions, right? Like the P4 schools are at the very top, and then the middle division, whatever it is going to be the G5 schools, and then you're still going to have the FCS or whatever it ends up being called at the bottom.
It kind of feels like we're there already.
It kind of already is.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the only thing keeping that from being the case is the automatic qualifier spot in the college football playoff for the best of the G5 schools, which Boise State took last year. But even then, it's cool they got in, but then they got the automatic bye, caused a bunch of controversy, and then they lost.
And so the reason why they had to redo the seating.
So it almost makes me wonder if that was set up on purpose just to give, Big Ten and SEC officials a reason to say, look, that's another reason those guys don't belong with us.
Yeah.
And maybe that was all planned from the beginning. I don't know. Man, Ashton Ginty almost saved G5.
There is, as far as, as far as the actual product you get on the field, there is a significant drop-off, I feel like, between Power 4 and the G5.
Oh, yeah.
There are some, bad Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
Right? Purdue, for example.
Of course.
But there is a significant drop-off of where the talent level of Power 4 in the group of 5 is right now. And so that makes sense as to why Memphis wanted to take that step up.
Yeah, it does. I think the other interesting thing is okay, what G5 programs would be valuable when a Super League comes? I'm saying when. Does anybody offer value? I think right now, of course, nobody knows what the case is with the Pac-12 teams. So I think it's still okay to call them G5 or G6 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think Boise State is obviously the most valuable program. But then it's interesting, you look at markets, and I got shot down by DJ and PK, and even Jake and Ben was out, but Jake shut this down too. I think, the Big Ten or the SEC or these Super Leagues, I think they're going to try and get into Vegas. And I think that might be why UNLV didn't join the Pac-12. I think they realized that if they can be one of the top programs in the leftover Mountain West, for whatever that means, obviously it doesn't mean a lot because it's the Mountain West.
It's not going to mean much.
But I think the Las Vegas market has become so valuable in the world of sports
it is.
Over the last 5 years. Jake's whole reasoning was that Las Vegas is a professional city now with the NHL and the NFL and probably an NBA team coming within the next few years. UNLV doesn't really matter to the people that live in Vegas. But I'd push back on that a little bit. I've got family that lives in Las Vegas, and they've been to all of the things. They've been to UNLV games. They've been to hockey games. I don't think they've been to a Raiders game. But I think when I think of the professional teams in Las Vegas, I mean, there are so many people coming through Las Vegas on any given weekend. I think it doesn't matter. I think as long as there are things to do, you're going to get butts in seats.
Yeah.
Whether that's people from an away game or from the away team coming to watch their guys play, right? If my dad wants to travel to go see the Broncos play the Raiders, or, a hockey fan who's stoked that they have the Golden Knights now and now that's their team, or if it's just a college football fan going into town for the weekend and they're like, okay, let's go see UNLV. I really do think that, especially with seeing how many of these leagues are having their media days in Las Vegas and how desperately like the NBA is trying to get into Las Vegas, I think that kind of speaks to how valuable of a market that is. There were even rumors of the whole conspiracy with the Dallas Mavericks trying to potentially move to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I think, again, it's an incredibly valuable market. And I think that just for that alone, they don't really care about UNLV, the program. They care about getting into Las Vegas. And then you get into the whole recruiting aspect. There are a lot of high-level recruits that come out of Las Vegas. And that's not that far from California, and unlocking even more recruiting there. So I do think as far as G5 programs with the most, I guess, to give to a super conference, I do look at UNLV.
As far as programs with talent and programs that can compete, I look at Boise State, I look at Tulane, and I'm probably forgetting somebody. But that's,
there's a few.
Yeah, there's but those are probably the two that stick out the most to me. Right? When it comes and Memphis, we'll throw Memphis in there, of teams that can compete in the group of 5. But when it comes to market, Vegas is the biggest one by far.
Oh, by far.
By far, right? No disrespect to our friends up in Boise State in Boise, Idaho, and even Logan, man. But I mean, Boise is not the market Vegas that Vegas is, right?
No.
You don't have an NFL team in Boise. You got an NFL team in Vegas,
right?
And UNLV plays in this shiny new Allegiant Stadium,
right?
They have
again. That's huge.
Yes, they play in this giant, beautiful stadium. If any team has the most attractive market, it's UNLV. It's just unfortunate that they're never really able to put out a product that matches the market.
And does that hold them back?
Sans last season. Last season, I thought they were a lot better.
Yeah.
But they lost their head coach this past offseason. They
so
lost their head coach.
Is that a trend, or was that a flash in the pan? We'll see. How much does that matter? How valuable is the Las Vegas market when the athletic program isn't that great? We'll see. Because traditionally, I mean, they had some good years in basketball, and that's really it. Like traditionally, and this is what Jake was kind of saying, like they don't really focus on their athletic program.
Right.
But things are changing. And I think especially if they have a lot of backing, I do think that they could turn things around in a hurry. So I think that is a very interesting conversation because it's relevant. It's relevant to us here. It's relevant to the world of college sports as a whole. And it's going to get chaotic real quick. So how much does all of that matter? Time will tell.
I think if you're the Big 12, you look at, this whole Memphis trying to buy into your conference thing, and you say, look, we won't take Memphis, but maybe we take a shot on UNLV.
Yeah.
Try to steal that Vegas market, man. Get ahead of it while you can.
It could be. And again, going back to getting out ahead of it, right? Like that is huge. And it's very risky because nobody knows what's going to happen. So you don't want to end up with egg on your face, making a really dramatic move, a really risky move, and it end up being the wrong thing. But again, when you talk about smart businessmen, like the best ones are the ones that kind of predict what's going to happen and take advantage of things before it gets hot. So we'll see.
Overall, though, group of 5, love it. Hope it sticks around, and I hope it doesn't get lost and ruined in whatever the next step of realignment is.
Yeah, I think it will.
It's part of college football. It needs to stay.
All right, let's take another break. Coming up next, we will do technical fouls. Alex, I can't believe it's come to this. We're going to tear into Lionel Messi.
Uh-oh.
No, we'll do that later. I don't know. I think we still have to bring it up.
We will.
We'll bring it up.
We will.
We'll do that next. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Napoles, Christian Esparza. Alex, it is time for Technical Fouls.
Yes, sir.
One of our favorite segments every week. We got to talk about so many things that are going wrong in sports. And we'll start with the GOAT. Lionel Messi thinks that he's bigger than MLS. And props to MLS for being delusional and saying, no, you're not. In all reality, Messi is much bigger than the MLS. But the truth is, he is playing for them now, and he has to abide by their rules. Give the rundown of what I'm talking about.
So what Christian is alluding to is Lionel Messi. The Wednesday night was the MLS All-Star Game. They play an All-Star Game against Liga MX, which is the Mexican soccer league, and they, you take the best players of both leagues, you play an All-Star Game. It's fun, but it's really not. They do a skills challenge thing that is fun, but the actual All-Star Game is not. Messi agrees that the All-Star Game is no longer fun. Messi decides to not show up. He doesn't even show up to Austin. Doesn't even get on a plane to show up to Austin.
Doesn't even withdraw. It's one thing if you withdraw your name.
Right, which is an option. It is an option. You can withdraw your name, and he just decides to completely...
No call, no show.
No call, no show.
Like that kid you worked with in high school.
Essentially, that's what he did to MLS. And so there was reports coming out yesterday morning that... So the rule is if you skip the All-Star Game, you must face a suspension. Right? It's a way to get players to play this game. There was reports coming out earlier yesterday morning that Messi and Jordi Alba, who's his teammate, were not going to get suspended.
And why wouldn't they be suspended this week?
Because they're playing FC Cincinnati on Saturday,
who leads the East,
who leads the Eastern Conference, one of the league's best in Major League Soccer, and so there was reports coming out that they were not going to get suspended for
and
this
that would have been really convenient for Inter Miami, who is trying to hold the MLS in its hand,
right?
And the MLS is stepping in and saying, you know what? We're not going to fold to you.
We are going to suspend you.
And I think that is an incredible power move by Major League Soccer. I think it's what exactly they had to do, because looking at Messi and the way that, his contract is structured and he gets a percentage of the league's revenue, like that's absolutely crazy. They easily could have just folded and said, yes, King, we will do whatever you ask of us. But no, they say, you know what, if you want to play in this league, if you want to come in and try and dominate this league, you have to follow our rules. And I think it's great that ultimately they are suspending him for Saturday's match.
Yes.
Him and Alba, of course. Now, there was some controversy this morning. I guess they signed a player and are bending some rules to sign the player. But we'll get into that later. We'll spend some more time on this in 5 minutes of. But just know that Lionel Messi is getting a technical foul for trying to skip out on the All-Star Game.
Yes.
All right?
How dare you?
Let's move on to this. I think this was a really funny story. Somehow, On3 Sports obtained direct messages between former Memphis safety Taj Rael and UTSA quarterback Owen McCown. These are what the direct messages stated. Rael sends pictures of a playbook. He says, here you go. That's all the signals. Owen McCown responds with a bunch of laughing, crying faces. Rael then says, the far left pick is the coverages. I'll send you a better list showing you the calls. But they run quarters, and none of the safeties can cover, by the way. No reroutes on the slot. Also, the field safety is the weakest link in the defense. His hamstring is hurting, but he's also running out of eligibility, so they want to play him. So when you play against him, he's number 0. Then Owen McCown says, bet. Let me know if they cut your stuff. I'll put in a word. And UTSA went on to win that game.
Yes.
Against Memphis.
Yes,
it
they
was
did.
44-36.
Yes, they did.
So I don't know what the motive was. I don't know why you have a Memphis player sending the defensive coverages to the quarterback of the opposing team. But yeah, that's not a good look. And speaking of, you brought up Purdue earlier.
Yes.
That's actually where
That's
Taj Rael plays now. He transferred. We haven't heard of any repercussions as far as if he's going to get suspended. I'd imagine he does. I would wonder
assume so.
if the NCAA terminates his eligibility. I don't know how far they're willing to go. But funny enough, the American Conference used to be the American Athletic Conference.
Now just the American.
Now it's just the American Conference,
Yeah.
which UTSA is a part of. They had their media days. And so it was a very convenient time to ask quarterback Owen McCown about this. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, no, obviously, first and foremost, I didn't ask for any of that information. It kind of, based on my little emoji reaction, you can see it caught me, by surprise of what happened. But like Coach said, the information was completely irrelevant, and it doesn't really, fit, how we take week in and week out, how we prepare. It was like I said, completely irrelevant, and that's all it was.
Owen, do you feel like this paints you in a bad light? Like, what would you say to the people who are kind of almost attacking you at this point?
Yeah, I just think they don't know how we process week in and week out. Like I said, the information had made zero sense. It was completely irrelevant to what we do week in and week out.
It's hard to look into anything. I don't want to accuse this kid of anything,
Right.
but I really doubt that a Memphis player would send that unprompted. And maybe Taj Rael was just incredibly frustrated with his team and he wanted to get back at his coaches or something.
Yes.
And that is a very real possibility. But it's you don't see this a whole lot.
A technical foul will be assessed to Rael for leaking the playbook and sending it to the opposing starting quarterback.
Yeah.
But I would like to know more information before we bag on anybody anymore.
I
right?
don't know how
Why-
much I believe Josh or Owen.
Why? Yes, exactly. Why did Rael even do this in the first place?
Yeah.
And did Owen, obviously he's going to say in front of cameras, I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
It was just sent to me. It just landed in my lap, right? It was given to me. But, scroll up a little bit. Let's see the rest of those messages, Owen.
I know. Yeah. Because he says, there you go. In the message that we do have, he
Right.
says, here you go, though, is the first bubble. But again, if you scroll up, I'm sure there's more of a conversation. But we'll see. I called him Josh because, by the way, Owen McCown, get this. This makes me feel old.
Yes.
Owen McCown is the son of ultimate NFL journeyman Josh McCown.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting.
Now he's the starting quarterback at UTSA.
How many different teams did Josh play for?
I think it was 14, 15.
Josh went
He played for half the league.
Cardinals, Lions, Raiders, Dolphins, Panthers, 49ers, Bears, Buccaneers, Browns, Jets, Eagles, Texans.
13.
Oh my gosh. So that's fun. Yeah. Anyway, Josh is now the quarterback coach for the Minnesota Vikings, by the way.
Yep.
He's actually a really good assistant coach, I have heard. But technical foul to Taj Rael and maybe Owen McCown, maybe.
Scroll up, Owen.
Yeah.
Show us the rest.
I don't know how On3 got these screenshots.
I don't know either, but it looks like it came from
Taj Rael's side.
Taj Rael's side because the Taj Rael is the
purple text
purple
bubbles.
text bubbles. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wonder if Taj Rael sent it to somebody else and then somebody else gave it to somebody else and then somebody else gave it on 3. Who knows, right? But I would like to know more about this situation. I would like to hear from Taj Rael and figure out why he even leaked the playbook in the first place.
I do love the little tidbit of the weakest link is the safety. His hamstring is hurt.
Has anybody done any investigating yet to see who this safety is?
No, but
Out
I'm
of
looking
curiosity.
at Owen McCown's stats for that game. He completed 20 of 37 passes for 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. So it's not like he really lit it up through the air.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns is good, but I mean, almost 50% completion
Yeah.
percentage, or sub 60, I guess we'll say, is not very good. 280 yards is not a lot, but Yeah, 4 touchdowns is good. Chris Carpenter, the receiver, had 4 catches for 108 yards. I would imagine a lot of those came against that safety. Who knows? You'd have to go back and watch some film on that to be sure.
Someone needs to do some investigating. It'll be on Twitter next week.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be.
Stay tuned. This is an evergreen story. Speaking of stay tuned, stick with us. Coming up next, we are going to talk NFL. It's right around the corner. Training camp is underway. The Hall of Fame game is next week. Can't wait to jump into the NFL season. Stay with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, joined by Alex Napoles, as always. Alex, let's jump in to the NFL. It's almost here. The Hall of Fame game is next week, next Thursday, to be exact. Chargers and Lions. Can't wait to jump into the NFL season. Last year was a really good one.
Oh,
I had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun too, man. It's right around the corner in football. I can feel it.
Did you watch, do you have Netflix? Did you watch the quarterback show?
I do have
Season
Netflix. 2? Haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it's good.
I need to get around to it.
Season 2 was maybe almost as good as season 1. I don't know.
Who's in it again? It's
so
Burrow.
Season 2 is Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins again.
That's who it was, Kirk.
I really enjoyed it because you had obviously the Lions as one of the best teams in the NFL, and then they ultimately disappointed in the playoffs. You had the Bengals as one of the most underwhelming teams ever, but they were still on the brink of the playoffs. And of course, Joe Burrow was playing at an MVP level, but the win total wasn't there. And then Kirk Cousins, his story was pretty heartbreaking because playing in his first year in Atlanta during, quarterback season 1, he kind of became a fan favorite. Like everybody loved him.
Yeah.
And then this show kind of shows behind the scenes and what he was struggling with Atlanta, and ultimately he underwhelmed there. So I love it. I like the behind the scenes look, and I know it's obviously severely curated by the players and you're not going to see everything behind the scenes, but even seeing a glimpse of it, I think, is really interesting. So highly, highly recommend if you are a fan of the NFL. But we've got some news coming out of NFL training camps. The Bengals finally agreed to terms with Shamar Stewart.
Finally.
Their first round pick. There were threats that he could, apparently a rookie that's drafted can not sign their contract, sit out a year, and then re-enter the next year's draft. And he almost did that.
There's also talks about him at Texas A&M.
He went back and was practicing with them.
He went back, and that's kind of where he was keeping, staying in shape and staying physically ready. He was training with Texas A&M, and then they asked their head coach during media days, and they said, "Hey, is Shamar Stewart, can he come back?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, right now he has no intention of coming back, but there was a path for him to go back if he sued the NCAA." Which
everybody does.
Everybody does nowadays. And everybody seems to win. So there was a path for him to go back, but I'm glad, for the sake of the Bengals and for the sake of Shamar Stewart, I'm glad that they were able to finally put an end to this saga and finally be able to sign it. So it is a 4-year, fully guaranteed contract worth $18.97 million and includes a $2.4 million signing bonus per Adam Schefter.
And you wish all the noise would go away, but you've still got their other defensive end, Trey Hendrickson, who leads the NFL in sacks over the last 2 years. He is still holding out.
Yes.
We saw Myles Garrett get paid. We saw TJ Watt get paid. He feels like he should be paid in the same realm as those guys, which, you have more sacks than them over the last 2 years. I would definitely agree. So that's that. The Bengals are always going to be a mess.
I feel like the Bengals just needed to sign Shamar Stewart to kind of get over this cheap stigma that they got going on with them right now. But while Trey Hendrickson is out, while your best defensive player is out, you're gonna have that rap.
I agree. How do you want to handle this? Let's go through. I guess, should we just hit who we think are going to be the contenders this year?
Let's do it. Aaron Rodgers said 10 to 12 teams are true contenders in the NFL.
I would buy into that,
and I think I agree.
So you look at the AFC playoffs last year, you had the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Texans, the Chargers, Steelers, and Broncos. Steelers, I think, have the highest chance of falling out of the playoffs just because we know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. He was not good for the Jets last year. He has not been good over the last couple years. And again, he's on the wrong side of 40. The thought is maybe he's fully recovered from his Achilles tear, but what does that mean for him? And even then, I don't like the rest of the Steelers roster. I think their offensive line has got a little better. The defense is always going to be solid, but I just don't know if they have the weapons. I know they traded for DK Metcalf. I know Jalen Warren has been a solid running back. I just don't think they have it. I don't. So out of all those teams, I think the Steelers are the most likely to fall out.
I would agree. We've seen this song and dance before with Aaron Rodgers at the Jets, and I don't see it going very much different in Pittsburgh.
And as far as being in the same division, I think it's really easy to see the Bengals taking that playoff spot. That 6th seed
Absolutely.
or whatever.
I don't see the Browns coming up.
No.
So
you're looking at probably the Ravens and Bengals from that division. Another possibility, and for as much fun as I had watching the Broncos last year, it's a very real possibility that Bo Nix has a sophomore slump. They didn't really add to their receiver room in the offseason. I know they drafted Pat Bryant in the 3rd round. They're expecting big things out of Devon Vele, but it's a very real possibility that Bo Nix takes a step back or doesn't improve as much as he needs to. And as deep as the AFC was, it literally came down to Week 18 last year with the Broncos making the playoffs. You had the Bengals right there, the Dolphins were right there as well. So
right, it was good. It was a good end of the season.
It was a tight race. Who knows what's going to happen? It would really break my heart, but I gotta be fair.
I got Instagram pages trying to convince me that they're going to win the division.
I do think Bo Nix is the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm so excited for him, but it is again we see it happen all the time, right? The sophomore slump. It's a very real thing. I wouldn't be shocked at all. NFC wise, you think the Lions are going to be the best team in the NFC next year?
I think they still have a shot on paper, but I think it's really going to come down to their coordinator situation. Are they going to get the same type of production by losing their offensive and defensive coordinator?
Right, of course, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator who worked magic. He literally revitalized Jared Goff's career. He is now the head coach in Chicago. Yeah. Then Aaron Glenn, the Lions defense lost, I think, 8 or 9 of their 12 starters throughout the year last year.
Yeah.
And Glenn found a way to keep that strong. He's now the Jets head coach. So the Lions won, I think, 15 games last year. And they probably will take a step back. The Commanders came out of nowhere, played really well. They made it all the way to the conference championship. And then, of course, you got the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl. I don't think the Eagles are going anywhere. I don't think the Commanders are going anywhere.
I don't think the Commanders are ready to take a NFC East winning step yet, but I do think the Commanders will continue to build on the success they had last season.
You don't think they'll win that division? Oh, yeah, no, over the Eagles, right?
Yeah, no. Not while the Eagles are the Eagles.
Fair.
Unless they have a significantly giant fall off this season.
Or if the Commanders take a big jump. I mean, I know they won some playoff games and that was awesome, but in reality, I mean, Terry McLaurin is a phenomenal receiver.
Yeah, and then you have the scary Terry question.
And yeah, he's holding out.
Right.
They brought in Deebo Samuel, who I'm not a fan of. I think he's incredibly washed. I think he looks old. I think he looks big. He doesn't look like prime Deebo Samuel. The defense should be fine. They just signed Von Miller, which obviously he's a long ways away from being a real impact player, but he's still a very good rotational edge rusher.
Despite being a little bit up there in age.
Despite being very old.
And same thing can be said about Bobby Wagner, man. Getting older, but he's still doing a very phenomenal job.
So we'll see. I think those three are definitely the cream of the crop in the NFC. I think those are the teams to beat. And then you've got the Rams, who could very well take a step forward after adding Devontae Adams. I think that's huge.
They're winning the West.
And I know they lost Cooper Kupp, but at this point, Devontae Adams is probably better and maybe more even reliable than Cooper Kupp, and they've still got Puka Nacua. How healthy can Matt Stafford stay? I think that's the biggest question now. I think the defense for the Rams is a rising talent. The Vikings, how well do they play with J.J. McCarthy, essentially a rookie after missing all of last year? I think he played one preseason game and tore his meniscus. So they Sam Darnold came in and won a ton of games. Can J.J. McCarthy do the same thing? I don't know. That's a big question mark there.
Are we going to have 3 double-digit win teams in the NFC North again?
Lions, Packers, and Vikings all won. Yeah, well, I think the Vikings won 14 games.
Yeah.
It came down to the last game of the season to decide that division.
Yeah, and the Lions were trying to change the playoffs because of that.
Yeah, which is funny because they ended up winning.
Right.
But I think I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. The Packers are good.
If one team is going to fall off from that success that we saw the NFC North have last season, it's going to be the Vikings.
Out of the Vikings or Packers, I think obviously because of how important quarterback is.
Right.
I think that's the most likely answer. So I would agree there.
Which not to say like I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have like an absolutely horrendous year. I just think that it's his first year starting. I know he had, the entire season last year to sit back and learn. But I feel like there's a big difference in sitting back and learning while you're rehabbing an injury than sitting back and learning while you're like the second string taking reps in training, right?
Because half your attention is focused on rehab.
Right. And so, not to say I think he's gonna have a terrible year. I just think that the Minnesota Vikings will probably regress to a little bit of a mean while J.J. McCarthy kind of figures things out.
Who knows? McCarthy was a top 10 pick. They liked what they saw.
National
Kevin
champion.
O'Connell he's an incredible coach, and he's clearly shown that he's a quarterback whisperer, getting the best out of Kirk Cousins, getting the best out of Sam Darnold. They brought Josh Dobbs in off the street, and he played crazy for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Is that the astronaut?
The Pastronaut, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Then again in the NFC, you've got the Buccaneers also. Baker Mayfield finding new revitalization in his career. They've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin should be back and healthy. They drafted Egbuka out of Ohio State. Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like what the Buccaneers have going for them on offense.
The NFC South sucks.
Which is crazy because you'd think that the Buccaneers would have dominated that division, and they really didn't.
They did it, no, but I think the Buccaneers are heads and shoulders above the rest in the South.
And then we touched on the Packers a little bit. I think the Packers are the Packers, right? Like,
I think they'll take a step forward. They had a lot of young talent last season.
They were almost a little underwhelming last year. They added to the receiver room. They drafted a first-round receiver for the first time ever. Which was huge for them, but
I think that's what the Packers need, right? I think you have a running back, you have a quarterback, you have a good line. I think you need better weapons in the receiving core. He had a lot of young receivers that I think can potentially take steps forward, right, in their development and in their careers. But I think you need to have a star receiver. You got the pieces all along the rest of the offense. But you need to have the go-to guy at wide receiver. And I don't know if they have that right now.
So we did this for the AFC. Which of these teams are most likely to fall out of the playoffs? Because the Seahawks won 10 games last year, and they missed out on the playoffs.
Right.
You've got the 49ers, who you would expect to bounce back after an extremely down year. Who knows what the Bears could do, or the Cowboys, right, who both made pretty big additions this offseason. So who's losing their playoff spot if any of those guys rise up?
Remind me the seedings from last year.
Lions.
Yes.
Eagles.
They'll be in.
Buccaneers.
They'll be in.
Rams, Vikings, Packers. Commanders, Packers. Commanders were the 6th seed. Packers were 7.
See, it's a really hard thing for me to look at any of those teams right now and say that they're going to fall out.
Maybe you go with sophomore slump again. Maybe Jaden Daniels takes a step back.
Could be.
I mean, realistically, they only won 12 regular season games. And I shouldn't say only, but
12 is still a good number.
12 is a good number.
12 is a great number.
And that's going to get
Especially
you in
for
the
a rookie
playoffs.
quarterback.
Yeah, that's going to get you in the playoffs every year. But I don't know, maybe Terry McLaurin holding out has a real negative impact.
It could be. I don't know why they haven't really taken the initiative to re-sign him. I think he's earned his money.
Yeah.
Right? And you're completely right about Debo. I don't know if I trust Debo right now. And so I think he needs to have Terry McLaurin to be successful in Jaden Daniels, right? The Washington Commanders need to have their star wide receiver.
Yeah. Daniels can't do it himself.
So depends on what happens there. I mean, we'll see. But right now, I just look at the NFC and the teams who made it last season, right? Who made the playoffs last season, and I have a really hard time picking out a team who's not gonna make it. But if I had to pick, I'm looking at Minnesota, similarly to what we were talking about earlier.
Just because it's a big question mark.
It is. It's a huge question mark.
Even though he was a top 10 pick, I think they took him 9th. There were a lot of people who even questioned that because at Michigan, the whole, was he a system quarterback? How much did he really do for that national championship team? It's a very valid argument. He is a very big unknown right now. I heard some sound. I should have had it ready to play. I apologize for that. Justin Jefferson had a sound clip earlier this week, and he basically said, yeah, he's a rookie. You can't expect him to come in and be playing like a vet right now, which is kind of code for saying, yeah, he's not that good.
Oh.
But again, it's the very start of training camp, right? And like I said, O'Connell has done a great job of getting the best out of any quarterback that has come through and played for him. So we'll see. Traditionally, you have a new team on both sides, AFC and NFC, every single year. You have at least one new team. So somebody's going to fall out.
I think the obvious choice for the team who's going to sneak in and make it in after not making it last year, it's the 49ers, man.
I was going to say 49ers.
It has to be the 49ers.
I thought you were going to go Seahawks just because they won 10 games. But
no.
I don't know if I believe Sam Darnold in Seattle.
I think Seattle takes a step back.
Yeah.
From what they did last season, I think they'll fully embrace a rebuild here for the Seattle Seahawks. But the team that I think will bounce back, it's the 49ers. They still have an insane amount of talent. Last year sucked.
Yeah.
Last year sucked for the 49ers. But I think the roster that they have, and re-signing Brock Purdy for a lot of money, you gotta have a big bounce back here if you're the San Francisco 49ers.
Update on Brandon Ayuk. Sounds like he's still not fully recovered from his knee injury last year, but you've still got Jawan Jennings, who came on the scene big. He's actually kind of frustrated. He wants a new deal. We'll see what happens there. But you've also got guys like Ricky Pearsall. He was a first-round pick last year, looking to take on a bigger role after Debo's gone. Then, of course, you still got McCaffrey in the backfield. You still got Kittle. Those two are always going to be the best at their position, or one of the best at their position when they're on the field. Defensively, they've got Robert Saleh back as the defensive coordinator. I think that's when their defense was the best, was when he was there. Still got Nick Bosa. Tremendous talent on the edge. They did lose Dre Greenlaw, but they still have Fred Warner. So, yeah, I would be shocked if the 49ers are below 500 again.
If they're below 500 again, I think Shanahan will quickly be looking for another job.
I agree. That was fun. We'll see how the Hall of Fame game goes. Again, that is next Thursday, Chargers against Lions, and that officially kicks off the NFL preseason. Also excited to watch Hard Knocks. It's the Bills this year.
Yeah, man.
I love Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks is fun. I got to watch Hard Knocks and quarterback. And look, I know it's the Hall of Fame game, and people,
there's not a lot worth watching.
It's football, man.
But it's football.
It's football.
It signifies that the off season is over and it is football time.
We're back.
We are back.
Let's do it.
All right. Coming up next, Alex, we are going to continue talking about Lionel Messi and what the MLS's stance against him means. So stay tuned. We'll hit that next. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. It's time for 5 minutes of time to talk a little bit about a lot of things, right? We'll start off with this. This was a potentially big story. We'll see what it actually means. Thursday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order that basically directs members of his cabinet to develop a plan in the next 30 days aimed at preserving college sports opportunities and preventing college athletes from becoming professionals. Long story short. So, in summary, nothing actually happened It's basically just taking initiative and saying, okay, we have 30 days to figure this out. So we'll see if this actually means anything, if anything comes from it. But it is interesting that Congress is stepping in the Division of Labor and stuff like that. They are stepping in and taking this seriously because everybody kind of recognizes that it's getting out of control a little bit.
Yeah. What I'm kind of taking away from this is the fact that, you know, he wants college athletics to separate itself from pay for play and those third-party payments. And so essentially he wants to do away with the NIL and the third-party payments. And if you're going to do NIL, it has to be for quote-unquote business purposes.
So it would still allow, because they have the screening, the NIL Go, right, which is going to vest things.
Right.
And so NIL would still be okay through that, but it's through the third-party things that don't get verified, which is already not allowed anyways, right? But there's not really a way of monitoring that.
Which is kind of interesting, too, because a couple of days before this executive order came up, Russ Ellinger of Yahoo came out and reported that the hard cap for the revenue sharing had just become a soft cap because they were going to allow NIL to kind of do what they want.
Yeah.
And then this is when this executive order came in and said, hey, actually, we probably shouldn't do that. So we'll see what happens. You're right.
There's still a lot of change.
There's still a lot that is going to happen. But the steps are being taken and made to hopefully have a little bit more clarity in what the future of NIL and what the future of paying players will look like. I know that they're trying to avoid pay for play, but we're at a point where it is pay for play. And maybe college sports need to embrace it a little bit.
There's a chance that nothing comes from this.
Because
this fish has simply gotten too big. I wouldn't expect any singular person, much less one organization, much less the freaking government, to be able to try and monitor this any which way. I think that it's simply impossible. I mean, we're talking about 134 FBS schools.
Yeah.
D1 in total is like over 300. So that alone, it's like, yeah, good luck.
We'll see what happens, man. But I do like the idea of like, hey, let's try to regulate things a little bit and try to actually make some rules to, you know.
In theory, it's a good thought.
And
I truly, sincerely hope that something gets figured out. I just have my doubts.
Same here.
So stay tuned on that.
Yeah.
30 days from the 24th. Let's go back to Lionel Messi. We brought him up during technical fouls a little bit to reset the situation. Messi and Inter Miami teammate Jordi Alba were both selected to the MLS All-Star Game, which happened last Wednesday, and they no-called, no-showed. They did not appear at the MLS All-Star Game. The MLS has a rule saying that any player who skips the All-Star Game is subject to a suspension. So that was Wednesday. Thursday morning comes, and there's kind of speculation on whether they will or won't get suspended because Messi's image is so big, because he essentially is a partial owner in the MLS as a whole and Inter Miami. I know that that's not technically the rule, but it kind of is. His brand is so big, and he is so big. He is the sport of soccer. So how could they possibly suspend him for a regular season game because he missed the All-Star Game? Not to mention, their game this week is against the top team in the East, and it has huge stakes. So how could they possibly suspend him? And the MLS does. They announced that they are suspending Messi and Alba, and I think that was a great call. I'm so happy that they did.
Imagine if they didn't.
And that's the thing, is they realize that sets such a dangerous precedent, because it's not the first time that you've had a European star come over. I know Messi's not from Europe, but he played in Europe for his career, right? It's not the first time that the MLS has had an older star come over and finish their career there, right? We saw that with Zlatan. We saw that with David Beckham. Like,
those big Big chunk. Big handful of guys.
A lot of guys.
Yeah.
But Messi's different. We're talking about one of the greatest to ever play the sport.
Right.
The most popular sport ever. So this is kind of a big deal. And if they didn't suspend Messi,
the backlash would be insane. Well, the backlash was already insane because, we alluded to it a little bit in the technical foul segment, but there was a report that came out yesterday morning that said they weren't going to get suspended. And the reaction, Christian, that I saw online to that was insane. It was so bad so that the top MLS voices, right, the biggest analysts had to step in and say, "Hey, actually, they're still evaluating."
Yeah.
Because the backlash was already very poor and very negative, and so essentially MLS does come back and does suspend Lionel Messi. But that causes a whole nother bit of problems where you have the Inter Miami owner then having to come out and say Messi is so upset that he is suspended for such a big game that we hope it doesn't impact Messi's decision to stay in Major League Soccer because it's a contract year for
Right.
Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
So now he's threatening because you suspended him, he might not come back.
And honestly, so the direct quote was, Lionel Messi is extremely upset. I'm hopeful it doesn't have an impact long term. Will it have an impact on Messi's perception on the league and its rules? No doubt. To be honest, we can take this two different ways. Number one, I think the MLS was fine before Messi came. If Messi leaves, it's not going to destroy the league.
No.
And I think that the MLS realizes that. Obviously, having Messi there is growing the league at such an incredible rate that they couldn't have ever dreamed of. Like, it is literally best case scenario for them. But if Messi decides to go play somewhere else, to go back to Europe or whatever, it's not going to destroy the MLS. And I think they know that.
No, not while they have that Apple contract. That Apple contract is making them a lot of money.
It is making them a lot of money. It's also limiting how many people watch the games, but they're getting paid a ton.
But yeah, they're getting paid a bunch. I don't think I don't think that's, I don't think that's necessarily at the forefront of what's on their mind.
And again, you can't allow any one player to become bigger than your league. That's what the NBA's problem was.
Right.
With LeBron James. LeBron James became bigger than the NBA. LeBron James became the NBA. And ironically enough, LeBron James missed the NBA's All-Star Game this year. Of course, he was injured, so a little bit of a different situation there, but it's funny.
It's different, being held out due to injury and being held out because you didn't even get on a plane to go to Austin. Just completely no call, no show, the All-Star Game.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful. At the very heart of this conversation, it is a player not showing the league the respect that the league deserves. It's looking down on the All-Star Game as not important when, this has been such a topic of conversation over the last couple of years with every single sport. The All-Star Games are losing popularity, which is fine, but it's also part of the rules. It's part of the league. And the players deserve something to be, to show off the stars, right?
Yeah.
That's important.
I see this a couple different ways. One, I don't feel bad for Messi. I don't feel bad for Miami.
Oh, hell no.
And the situation that they're in because you have the choice to withdraw. You could have withdrawn, and this all could have been avoided. But you didn't. You just decided to no call, no show, and now you're in the situation that you're in. So it's hard to feel bad for Messi. It's hard to feel bad for Jordi Alba. It's hard to feel bad for Inter Miami because essentially not withdrawing and you still get the check.
Right.
You still get paid for it. So in that sense, I don't feel bad. But I'm also looking at it and I'm thinking it's time to get rid of the All-Star Game for Major League Soccer. There's no point in having it anymore. It's a glorified, we're going to vote in our superstars, and there's just no glimmer. There's no shine to it. It's time to move on from MLS All-Star Game. And on top of that, it's so dumb to have this game on a Wednesday night and then force the players to play again on Friday night.
That's where I'd go.
48 hours later, you're back into playing games.
I wouldn't, because saying that they need to get rid of the All-Star Game is giving in to Messi's needs. That's the message that he's trying to convey by sitting this out this way. So if the MLS were to get rid of the All-Star Game, that goes back to allowing the player to become bigger than the brand. I would say you're right. I mean, their season is already incredibly long. Play the All-Star Game at the end. Well, I guess you can't because that's like December. I don't know. Figure something out.
Give them a week off.
Yeah, do it during July, or give when some of these other guys are off, or give them another bye week.
Right.
I don't know.
It's so. Why are we having an MLS All-Star Game on a Tuesday and Wednesday night, and then turning around and having games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a fair take, but
it makes no sense to me.
To get rid of it again that's giving Messi what he wants, and I think in this situation that's not what you want to do. But
I've had those feelings for me personally. I've had those feelings since before Messi ever arrived.
And I'm sure this wasn't Messi's idea.
Right.
I'm sure he's not the first player to be like, "Oh, this is BS."
Right.
But he recognizes
Zlatan Ibrahimovic did the same thing.
Right, and so Messi recognizes the power that he has, and he's trying to make a statement with this. And I get it, and I'm with you on the same page. You know, the NBA has an All-Star break. The NFL plays their All-Star game when not everybody is playing, and the players that are in the Super Bowl don't end up playing. And I get that. And so there are different ways to go about it. The NHL has an All-Star break. So take something from those other leagues if you're going to make a change, which probably should happen. But we'll see if this is the domino that ends up with Messi leaving the MLS. It was fun while it lasted. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he leaves. To be honest, if you would have told me that Messi finished his career with Inter Miami, with the MLS, I would have probably been more surprised at that point than if he leaves.
No, and I think his plan has always been to return to Argentina or to return to Barcelona to fully retire.
With Alba and all his other friends on the Inter Miami roster.
But I don't know. We'll see. It is a contract year for Lionel Messi, and I think if he uses this suspension as a way to, throw some shit at the league and say, I'm not going to ruin my contract because I got suspended for the All-Star Game, I think that's poor.
Yeah.
But,
well, the MLS has always had its fans.
We'll see.
And I know that they gained a lot of new fans because of Messi that they will probably lose if he leaves.
Yeah.
But there has always been an extremely loyal fan base for the MLS that's not going to go anywhere. And I think that's ultimately kind of what they can look back on. Again, it's not like the league is gonna. It's not like if the WNBA loses Caitlin Clark. Yeah. It's not the same situation as that.
I would agree.
The MLS has been established. It's never going to be the biggest professional soccer league in the world. That's not the point. It's going to be around, I think, for a long time, whether or not Messi stays.
100%. Whether he's there or not, they'll be fine.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up next on the other side, we will wrap up another edition of the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I agree, Sean. Welcome back. Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Real quick, lot to hit here. Still so much. Happy birthday, Walker Kessler.
Happy birthday to you.
24th birthday. He's number 24.
Love
so
it.
It's a huge day for Mr. Kess. The big WK.
He's been phenomenal, man. What a pickup he was in that Rudy Gobert trade. Quickly becoming a fan favorite. Longest tenured.
That's hilarious.
Jazz man right now, which is also kind of crazy to say, but nonetheless, he's been phenomenal. I love me some Walker Kessler, and happy birthday to the big man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing, real quick. Early reviews on Happy Gilmore 2 came out yesterday on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. I might watch it, but After seeing what I'm seeing, sounds like it's not great, unfortunately.
Ugh.
Not a surprise, though, right?
Yeah, not a surprise.
I don't think anybody was expecting it to be good. But, like, 90s and early 2000s Adam Sandler's movies were good in a bad way. Like, he had some big misses. Like, Little Nicky was awful, right? Like, but even the original Happy Gilmore wasn't a good movie, but it still has charm. People still like it.
I'm a big believer in the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter.
The audience score
And
or the critic score?
A bit of both. Okay.
So
The tomato meter is a 67% right now for Happy Gilmore 2. So I mean, it's decent. It's not good. It's not bad.
Yeah,
but it's decent.
Okay.
The popcorn meter, the audience rating, 75%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's better than I've heard. Maybe I'm just seeing
So
the
audiences are liking it better than the critics.
the loud majority. Yeah, I guess go watch it for yourself.
Yeah.
My friends loved it.
Your friends, did you watch
Yeah,
it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But they said it is exactly what they wanted.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I should get off Twitter.
Well, that's your first problem.
Yeah, right. Coming up on the station today, of course, we are going to have RSL and the Salt Lake Bees. As always, the Bees are going to get going. They are at home against Albuquerque. That game is going to be looking like it's around 7, according to our schedule. But Real Salt Lake, huge storyline here, playing the San Jose Earthquakes. Pre-match show at 6:30. First kick is at 7:30. Go to this game. If you have nothing to do tonight on Saturday, go to this game. Chicho Arango is returning to Salt Lake City for the first time after being traded to San Jose in January.
Yep.
Of course, he was on pace to break RSL's scoring record. That never came, but he had a phenomenal first half of last year. Was he the most expensive acquisition in RSL history?
That is right.
So it's a big deal that he's coming back. And I know he wasn't here for long, but he made an impact.
Made an impact. Was so close to breaking the single season record. Got suspended in July or in June, early June. Wasn't the same player.
Did he
following
tie
the
it or was
suspension. He tied it?
he did tie it?
17
Okay.
is the record. He got 17. It is his return to America First Fields. There will be post-game fireworks for Pioneer Day.
Oh, that's right.
As Real Salt Lake celebrates Pioneer Day, so get your tickets. Go out there. Go support Real Salt Lake. Coming off a 1-0 loss to Cincinnati, but a good loss. And yeah, man.
Is
Go.
Diego Luna playing?
He is.
So Diego Luna can play in the All-Star game and then return on Saturday.
That is the hope for
He is,
tonight.
of course, much younger than Messi, but yeah, I mean the Riot. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Well, they still call the fan base the Riot, right?
Yeah, it's still the Riot.
Well, they're going to be rioting
Yes.
as always.
Yes.
An extremely fun environment. I would definitely recommend checking that out. And the fireworks are just a cherry on top.
I'm curious to see the reception Chicho Arango gets from the fan base tonight.
I'm sure he's. Do they boo?
Oh, they boo.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get booed. I'm sure he's going to be very negative.
I think they'll boo.
I think that. I don't know if this is. I don't know how fair it is, but I think he might take a lot of heat for last season falling apart.
Yeah.
The way it did. So
Yes.
whether that is just or not, I don't know. But go see. It's going to be an incredibly fun game. Thanks for listening. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.